And my husband came knocking on a Saturday morning in tears, so humbled and so open-hearted. The first time I'd seen him open-hearted and humbled for years. Finally, the defenses were down enough to say, I don't want a divorce. I want you. Like, I love you.
Real women, real marriage turnarounds. This is the Empowered Wife Podcast. My guest, Simone, was devastated to discover her husband's infidelity. Divorce seemed inevitable. But then she did something extraordinary, and now divorce is off the table and her trust is restored. She's going to tell us how she did it so you can do it too. Simone, welcome to the Empowered Wife Podcast. I'm so happy you're here.
Oh, Laura, you make dreams come true. I'm so glad to be here with you. I am so immensely grateful for you. This is a dream come true.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear your whole story. It sounds like an amazing one. Well, what first drew you to your husband?
Well, my husband and I have known each other for over 35 years. We were high school sweethearts, and he was in one of my classes, and I was attracted to his intellect. He was very smart. He was always asking questions, and he stood out. He always dressed up and was very conscientious. And so he was a very serious, ambitious boy. He was a very handsome boy, and also just very intense personality. So he was different than the other boys, for sure. He was more like a man, and at that age.
Wow. So he seemed really smart and mature and well dressed, and it sounds like I'm guessing handsome, right? So
Very handsome.
very handsome. Okay.
Very
Cool.
handsome.
And so your romance developed in high school. It started in high school.
Yeah.
And then when did you get married?
We waited until college was about finished. So we dated for about 4.5 years, and we got married in 1996. So we are almost celebrating our 30th anniversary. In March will be our 30th anniversary.
Wow. Amazing. All right. But you almost didn't make it to your 30th anniversary. What started to go wrong?
You know, things were difficult from the beginning, and they were fun, but it was a roller coaster ride from the beginning. I wouldn't say the dating years, but the marriage years for sure. We didn't have a lot of counsel from our parents. His parents were divorced. My parents got divorced a year after we had gotten married. So that changed the landscape for me. I thought I knew how relationships worked, and then my parents were suddenly divorced without really any warning. It was very confusing. And my husband and I were both very independent people. And so we lived a very independent parallel life for several years of our marriage, just working and finishing school and pursuing careers. And our schedules didn't line up much. We didn't see each other a lot. We still had fun together, but it wasn't that hard to be married because we really just didn't function together much. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it sounds like you just didn't get that much time together. So there was a little bit of disconnection, it sounds like.
Yeah, there was. And so we kind of just, I think we established some bad patterns. We never really established like family meal time, or we didn't talk through some of the things we wanted as a family. And then we started having children, and that definitely elicited some different responses. We needed to make some decisions about how we are going to be as a family. And one of those major decisions was like, how are we going to raise our kids, but how are we going to raise them in a faith? Like, what are we going to do religiously? And this is a big part of my story here, so I think it's worth sharing some pieces of this. We had some good friends come over for a meal, brought us, food when you have a new baby, they did that for us. And we were questioning, like, well, my husband really wanted to have him baptized, and I was kind of against that. I didn't understand why you do that. And so these friends came over and kind of supported us through that conversation and invited me to investigate the church that I'm now involved in. And so I ended up converting in that process at the birth of my son, had him baptized, and then also joined church. So that was a big piece of something I felt was kind of a concession to my husband's point of view, even though he wasn't extremely active in that faith. It was his legacy faith, I'd say. Like he felt connected to his grandparents through that faith. So it was a big part for him. And I had gotten married in that church too. Again, that felt like a concession, and I had made a promise to raise my children that way. And so it was time to put the rubber to the road and figure out what that meant.
So this wasn't something there wasn't a full, wholehearted, it wasn't a decision you made for yourself, but it was more like, well, he wants me to do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I have agreed to do this, so I'm doing it.
Yeah, it felt like that. I took the time to really consider it, and intellectually it made sense. With my heart wasn't quite there yet, and that did come later. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So at this point, but there's like a little, I don't know, for me, like a scoreboard where like there's one for Simone, like Simone sacrificed, kind of like Simone did something for him. Now he kind of, maybe he owes you a little bit.
Yeah, there is a lot of scorekeeping for Simone. I got in that habit real quick. And that didn't work out real well.
I can relate to that though. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So you made this concession, and then, and your friends were encouraging you to do that too, it sounds like. So,
yeah.
And there was maybe like, I don't know, like a tiny little bit of resentment about it.
Yeah,
maybe.
It was definitely a seed of resentment, which grew into some weeds later. Yeah.
Okay. A seed of resentment that grew into some weeds. Well said. All right. So then what happened?
Life was fine for a while. We had our little boy in 2002. Everything was lovely. And then I got pregnant again, and that was a little more challenging. So this was the beginning of some infertility issues and some health problems. And in 2005, I ended up in the hospital with appendicitis and a 32-week pregnancy. So I had to undergo an emergency appendectomy, and everything was fine. She was born later, but that was terrifying. And so this was kind of the beginning of a lot of health issues for me with my fertility and pregnancies. And he showed up really heroic at that time, was there for me. And we had a healthy baby girl in 2005.
Great ending to that story. That's good.
Yeah.
So now you have two kids.
2 kids. And my husband's starting to undergo some changes in his life, big changes with his career, because his family had owned a greenhouse, a family business where they grew flowers, and wasn't being profitable. So they were looking at other things to do, and ultimately decided to shut the greenhouse and sell the structure. And so this left my husband with a big vacancy in his career. He didn't know what he wanted to do. And that was a big identity shift. And so he ended up going into politics because someone had approached him. He'd been involved with some things locally, and they said, you'd be really good at this. Would you consider running for this office? And we asked some questions. It didn't sound like it would be too invasive. Sure, why not? He's like, I probably won't win anyways. And then he did win. And this began a 16-year political landscape that I was not enthusiastic for. So definitely Simone is keeping score again. Like, what are we doing now? Oh, we're doing politics now. I have just given up all of my privacy. There are people in my home running a political campaign in which I also got to be involved, helping him with this, raising money, walking door to door, walking precincts. It ate our lives, literally. And I also, at 2008, when he was campaigning, suffered a miscarriage at the beginning of that campaign and wasn't allowed to rest. And it was really heartbreaking to me. I was very sad, still in tears, literally still bleeding. And the campaign woman who was helping us was like, I'm sorry, honey, but you got to toughen up and get out there and walk and knock on doors. So I'm putting on this brave public face while inside I am just crushed. Yeah. And I'm still resentful about that. That hasn't gone away.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Like you needed, to grieve and some tenderness and support and yeah, some care. And
Yeah.
instead you got like campaigns going on, like,
Yeah. Get on board. Here we go.
oh, and you did. And you did.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did.
Very stressful.
Yes. That was very stressful. So that continued, the campaign. He won, and that really changed his identity too. He went from, a small family business, to an enormous amount of responsibility, a huge learning curve politically, around hundreds of people, lack of privacy. It really changed our dynamic quite a bit. And then I'm home with, two kids. More or less, I felt like a single parent because he wasn't really available to help me. And now our kids are getting a little bigger. So we've got youth sports and we've got activities. So I'm driving a lot, trying to manage the household. I'm homeschooling at this point because I was a teacher and I wanted to work with the kids while they were little. And then I got pregnant again. And this is 2010. He's running another campaign. And I had a baby in July, another health scare where I'm in the hospital for 5 days with some strange infection we still don't understand, but had an amniocentesis and he wasn't there. He just didn't show up that time.
Oh, you're alone. Yeah,
Yeah. I
single
mean, I
mom.
had my sister and I had friends, but I didn't have him.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really heartbreaking and scary. It sounds scary and lonely.
It was scary. It was a moment I remember looking out the window thinking, just to disassociate myself from my physical experience. It was not particularly painful, but it was really, I thought it was very terrifying. And a beautiful baby girl was born that summer too, healthy, and now she's 15, so everything's okay. But I really felt abandoned in those moments. I really did.
Yeah. Here you're growing your family and it feels like he's just nowhere to be found.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
felt like he was growing his career, and it included me because he needed my help, but it didn't include me because it didn't really give a lot of benefit. It felt like a lot of drawbacks at this point in time.
And you didn't choose it. So yeah, you were
No,
stuck with it.
definitely thought it was temporary. That was what I was told. And it was becoming more apparent that it was not temporary.
No, no, not at all.
So we proceeded with this route, and I ended up going back to work in 2012. I'm a teacher, and so that was nice. I enjoyed it. Um, but again, like I'm having more health issues and more miscarriages, which were terrible. I wanted a big family, and so I suffered two more miscarriages at this point, which were lonely again. I don't think my husband really had the capacity. I don't think it was intentional in the way he handled it, but in his mind, when we've talked about it, he said, I was there for you. I kept everything running. I kept, the mortgage going. I paid for things. I provided for you. So that was his way to take care of me during this time. But as far as emotional capacity, he was just, busy doing other things. And so I leaned heavily on my friends, my sister and my mother, and thank God for them. I have the most beautiful relationships with the women in my life. So I'm grateful for the presence that they provided because I don't know what would have happened without them. It was a very lonely
Wow.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what you needed the most was some comfort while you were grieving the loss of those babies. And that
Yeah.
wasn't, yeah, that's
And
hard.
that also tied back to the faith decision I had made because some of these, I guess it would be easy to say with judgment, well, you could have prevented that by not trying to get pregnant, right? Like I was hearing advice from other people who didn't share my faith. And so that was a kind of a painful time too. But I really felt like this was my path. Like this is what I had chosen and my heart was changing with it. And so it was open to the family he was going to build for us. And I wasn't sure what that would look like, but it was loss after loss for a while. And then, yeah. And so then, my husband was in a really bad ski accident in 2015. We had gone up as a family and he broke his tibial plateau. And, it was a pretty severe injury. He couldn't walk or bear weight for 6 weeks. And he was still, functioning in his political career. So he was still trying to work, but he literally was on the couch from home, and unable to walk. And so then I had, the 3 children and plus, doing all his physical chores and helping him with things. Yeah. That was, I would say, one of the major events that was most tragic for us. I mean, tragic saying like it was difficult. We came through it. And when we celebrated his ability to walk, we had gone on a little vacation. And I got pregnant. and I was just nerve-wracked. I'm like, oh, here we go again. I'm going to lose more babies. But this little one, we call her Baby Tiger still. She's 9 years old and she was born ferociously independent, beautiful little daughter. I just bring tears to my eyes because she's been such a part of our story, our glue, with her arrival. And God's timing is so funny to me because I was almost 42 and certainly not in the mood to be having a baby.
Surprise!
Surprise!
Yeah. Although it does sound like it was a desire of your heart to have that big family. Not anymore. I get it. But there was a plan.
There was a plan. It was a funny plan. It's an interesting plan. And at this time, we're still very engaged in politics, but it's getting harder. So his job changed and he's not campaigning as often, but the job is harder and more pressure, I would say. And politics is changing too. Like, I think things are becoming much more, like 2016 era vitriolic, like a lot less pleasant, and people are not being so civilized. So things started getting really hostile. And so I'm living in this political landscape. I've got a new baby now, 4 children, and my oldest is starting high school. And my sister, who is my dear friend, her daughter's graduating high school and I'm having a baby. It's just she's younger than me. So I just thought that was very funny. It's like, how can this be happening? And then our son, really started to spiral out of control with a marijuana addiction. We'd put him in a private Catholic high school. We were really happy with the school. And yet that child just seemed to find all kinds of trouble. It didn't matter where. And that was his path. So these are some sad years coming up, like the stress in the marriage, the political pressures, the spacing of the children was difficult because I had like every school range. I had a high schooler, a middle schooler, an elementary schooler, and a baby toddler. Yeah. And so I just felt so stretched thin and we didn't really understand the nature of what my son was going through. It took years to unravel that. And there wasn't a lot of help. People had legalized marijuana and without much like real thought about how it would affect people. And so there wasn't a lot of data and there weren't a lot of teenagers going through this. We were kind of at the beginning of this problem. And now I think there's a lot more resources for it. And this is where I come to be grateful for the political career because it actually gave me access to learn of all the damage. And we had a platform in which to speak out against this and change some laws. So that was a beautiful full circle thing. But my son really struggled for about 7 years and the insurances wouldn't even recognize marijuana addiction as an addiction. And so, it really, it was just a brilliant boy who had been such an easy kid until 14. And then suddenly I didn't recognize him and I didn't know what to do. And that was awful. That was
terrifying.
Awful, terrifying. Yeah.
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 And that's got to be a strain on, I imagine, a strain on your marriage.
Yeah. And there's a lot of blame there. My resentment's growing because where has he been? He's been too busy to help me. And he's saying I didn't do it well enough because we wouldn't be in this situation if I had been a better mother. And he didn't say it
Oh, oh,
directly,
ouch.
but ouch,
Yeah.
so much ouch. I had like given up my career for these children. I had homeschooled. I took them to church. I took them to youth group. We did hockey. We did football. We did baseball. We did cheerleading. We did soccer. We did all the things. And I just couldn't feel like I could win. And it was so, so humbling to me.
Ouch. Yeah. That sounds really hard.
Yeah.
Well, so what happened?
Well, COVID happened.
Oh,
um, so
it sure
2018,
did.
let me back
Yeah.
up a little. I get diagnosed with an autoimmune condition, which kind of explains some of the infertility issues and the stresses of my body. And also I'm thinking like, gosh, I'm just kind of tapped out. I'm tired. And so I start taking better care of myself. And that looks like I'm not eating sugar and I'm not drinking alcohol and I'm not eating gluten and I have to go to bed at 8 p.m. So I was a really fun lady, I tell you what.
Okay.
And so I got,
So,
this kid off the rails who's like super looking for substances and all kinds of trouble. And I'm not even eating sugar. So there's a huge contrast in belief systems. And I'm getting controlling because I'm trying to solve everybody's problems, right? And I'm also feeling very judged, like, well, if good moms would do this, and if you were a good mother, your son wouldn't be struggling. That was what I had heard from people. They were
uh,
judgmental, terribly mean people in this process. Um,
yeah,
I
it's
came
your
to let
fault.
that go. Yeah, it's my
Yeah.
fault. It all felt like my fault. And I knew at the heart of the matter it wasn't, because I knew like my heart was pure and it was full of love for my kids. And I just had done everything I could to be there and do the best I could. Ultimately, I had to relinquish control of my son. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I remember being in my car and I thought, what is the worst thing that could happen? And I said, he could die. He could die.
Oof.
And I just said to the God, I said, and that isn't my business either, is it?
Oh,
And I turned over my son and his future, the higher power, and said, I don't know what to do. I love him, but he's more yours than mine. And I trust that you've got this. And I let it go. And strangely, as things did not smoothly turn around, but things did start to change and turn around. And we were able to get him into a program for his recovery, and he willingly went. But it's a process, and so it's not simple. And now he's a functioning adult. He's 23 years old, and he's okay. He's doing okay.
So there was this incredible moment of surrender
Yeah,
that you had as a mom. That must have been really terrifying, but you were really acknowledging like the limit of your power,
yeah.
you influence, and but it was out of your hands, and acknowledging that, it sounds like it was kind of a breakthrough.
It was a breakthrough. It was the first time that I had been able to really put my faith to the test, we'll say. I mean, the miscarriages were good practice. I can see now how everything was like teeing me up for these difficult things coming. There were storms coming, and I needed some boots and I needed some umbrellas. I needed some tools. And so all of this comes together, here as we get more into the present.
Yeah. A- And so how was that impacting your marriage?
I was devastating. We were just so heartbroken when our son was struggling because the culture at large was blaming parents. And yet we had these policies. And I was like, this is like putting children in a playground full of broken glass. Like, how can the adults in any kind of good conscience allow this to be happening? So angry. And it motivated us to help change things and educate others and speak out about it and break the shame cycle, because nobody wanted to talk about addiction. And things are farther along now, and you can see that when young people, ingest or smoke, whatever intake, THC, it really causes a lot of brain problems because their brains are still growing. And so it causes psychosis and paranoia. And our son was just at a point where we couldn't even recognize him. It was awful. So, like I said, things did get better. We were able to send him to a facility for six weeks, inpatient treatment, and that turned things around for him. And the marriage is okay. We're okay, but we're not great, because things are still just a pressure cooker of stress. Like, he's still in politics. We still have 4 kids. I'm working, and the resentments are growing. Now these little seeds have thorns. They're full on plants and they have thorns. And I am just angry with my husband. And that anger did not serve me, but I didn't know any other way. And it became a habit. It just became the groove where I thought I was doing self-care and kind of like journaling. And I looked back and it was just so much ranting and frustration. Instead of like building a life I was happy about, I was just kind of doubling down on things I was displeased about. And so, I was like, let's go to counseling. I need help. This isn't working. So we did that. And that didn't work either. Counseling was more blame, fighting. We were arguing over chores. We were arguing over money, how we spent our time, the kids. Like, it just, the only thing that was going well for us really was our physical intimacy. And that was never a problem in the marriage, which is so strange because, as you know, there was infidelity, which was so confusing to me.
Okay, so I have so many questions. So the infidelity, when did the infidelity start? Has it been going on?
No, it started around June of 2021.
Okay.
So,
what drove you guys to go to marriage counseling before that? Just the general fighting and the pressure you guys were under?
Yeah, I think we just couldn't have any conversations that were productive. He'd say something to me and I would just respond volatilely, and we'd just get into this blame cycle, and we could make up for a few days and get along and function, but it wasn't comfortable and it wasn't happy. We could put on a brave face in front of everybody else and go out and do all the political things and go to work and look happy, but it was really difficult. Yeah.
I know how exhausting that is to try to make it look good when it's not good to it and take a lot out of you.
I deserve an Academy Award.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, Meryl Streep's got nothing on, the kind of acting you had to do every day. So those conversations didn't get any better in counseling than they were before you went to counseling, it sounds like. So you were just having them with the kids instead of...
They just got uglier, honestly. It was so terrible. And I had chosen this counselor, and he was, in our faith group. So I thought, well, he's definitely on our side. He's pro-marriage and he's going to get us there. And then we stopped the counseling, collaboratively together. We could agree on that at least. Like, this isn't working. And then I started seeing the counselor by myself, and the counselor said, this is about September now of 2022, pretty much told me I don't have a marriage. He had no hope for me. And that actually made me angry. And I was like, how dare you? How dare you? What do you mean after 26 years or something and 4 kids that I don't have a marriage? What is this then?
To your high school sweetheart. Yeah, what is it? I mean, it's so infuriating to me to hear about that when people try to steal your hope and just say, and dismiss your marriage. Like, oh, it's nothing. You don't have one. Yeah. Like, give up, he was saying.
Yeah. I was like, this might be a mess, but it is my mess. So,
yeah. So this is how marriage counselors help marriages. You can both agree the marriage counselor is
Yeah.
wrong. So,
That was
okay.
not the route. Yes.
Yeah, that was not the route.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we kind of fired him, I would say, after that, for sure. I stopped talking with him. I started a new job that I just loved. This was part of my real growth in my faith too. I'm working at a high school, a private, Catholic high school, and I just love my colleagues. I love what I'm learning. I love what I get to teach. I'm just feeling supported and, I can kind of set the troubles in the marriage aside, at least for most of the day, because I'm too busy thinking of other things. And our son at this point is getting healthier and he's doing okay. And the other kids are growing up. We've got a daughter in the same high school at this point. She's doing great. So kids are healthy and well. I'm happy with work. Husband's still doing politics. So there's still a lot of pressure, a lot of public eye on us. But we're feeling like maybe we're on top of the wave a little bit because it kind of helped our kiddo get out of the addiction cycle and we'll be able to publicly talk about it. And I'm happy with this career. So things are feeling a little bit better. But I don't know. There were just too many ouches of years of bad patterns that we just couldn't quite break through. And this OW shows up in 2021, and it was just for fun and kind of harmless. Like I knew about it and I said, this isn't okay. Like this doesn't work for me. And he's like, it's not a big deal. It's just fun. You're not fun.
The other woman, he was saying, wait, so you say she showed up and you knew about it?
Yeah.
I
My
mean, tell
husband's
me about,
justifying it to me.
he's
Yeah.
justifying it. He's saying it's no big deal. Like this
It's
is,
just, yeah, we're just friends. It's just fun. You're too hard to talk to. You're not fun.
did it start out where she was just a friend or did it, I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And she wasn't in the community. So it was very, my husband justified it like, well, she doesn't live here. No one knows who she is. She doesn't know, she didn't even know his real name. It was a digital kind of thing. And, they didn't even speak the same language. And so I think it was just like a Sudoku puzzle for him. Like he needed the
Okay.
stimulation, you see? And
Okay.
I was having none of it. I was so furious. But that anger, like I had said earlier, just drew us further and further apart. I tried to get so controlling and said, you can't talk to her. You can't do this or you can't do that. And anything I attempted to do to control it just grew it. And just, it grew legs and it just it became a huge monster in my life. Not her personally, but the situation.
Yeah. Wow. So it's kind of became consuming, like,
Mm-hmm.
right. Yeah. I mean, how infuriating to have him say, like, it's no big deal. It's nothing. Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. And you're like, yes, it is.
It's kind of
So,
hurtful. Yeah. And I'm
yeah,
living this
very,
very public life. I can't talk to anybody about it. And I'm working at
yeah, that's right.
a religious affiliated school. And so, you don't want to be the one who's got the husband who's has an OW, like these are
Yeah, he's got another woman online and it's no big
so
deal. So,
complicated. Right.
and then just that, the level of ouch too, with him saying like, oh, she's fun and you're not fun. Like, woo, like,
Mm,
okay. All right.
yeah.
So you try to get him to stop and
Hmm.
that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. No, it just drives him deeper. He gets real private with his phone. He starts locking down. He'd always been very honest and very transparent. And I should have said that at the beginning. That's one of the things I was most attracted to with him. He was that kind of honest person that's like, ooh, that was too far. You shouldn't have said that. Like he was always very honest. And this started to change. And I don't know if that was the political, influence, but his identity was shifting. His personality was shifting. And, he's kind of getting used to a lot of attention and a lot of regard and being important. And so I couldn't fill that bucket for him very well. And I didn't want to, I didn't feel like it was my job to inflate his ego anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So,
Or stroke
so I
his
might have
ego.
gone too far the opposite way where I was unkind and said things that were not very nice and not supportive, but I was really angry. And so looking back, I can see how pain can cause you a lot of blindness. And I kind of think that's where we're at right now, but it's not so much me. It's maybe him. Like as I'm giving him space to work through some of his stuff, that pain is still there for him. And so some of the behaviors that he chose with that, like choosing an OW and thinking it's harmless, I can see now that that's a level of pain to distort that reality to that extent. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah, like there's a level of denial or justification
Yeah.
that, but it hurt people hurt is what comes to
Yeah.
mind,
Hurt
right?
people
He
hurt.
was hurting so
Yeah.
much, and I mean that sounds like amazing level of compassion from your standpoint.
Well,
But
it took some time to get there. It
okay,
took
okay,
it took some practice and it took you. Like I could not have done that without you. And I didn't know who you were until a friend of mine around this time the counselor told me I didn't have a marriage. I had said to my friend, like, I just don't know what to do. And she knew the situations. And she said, have you ever heard of Laura Doyle? And I was like, no, I haven't. What is that? Who's that? And she's like, you need to check her out. She's written a book or two. Um, and so I did. And strangely enough, this is about the time this friendship goes away because I think she just got tired of me complaining. She was kind, but she's kind of like, yeah, you need to figure this out. And so I really haven't talked to her since, but I feel like her main purpose in my life was to introduce me to you and this program because that is exactly what I did. And so I looked into it. I read the book, listened to the podcasts, and this started like shifting my thinking. It wasn't quite enough to make a big enough change, but it definitely the door started to open on hope. And, it's far from the end of the story, but, this is like around, 2023 now, January is when I signed up for Ridiculously Happy Wives and I got on with Coach Inga. She helped me deal with this OW nonsense. And at that point, my husband decided to go on a boys' trip to the city where this woman lived. And I didn't
oh,
know if he was going to see her or not.
oh,
I found out later that he did. And that caused a lot of problems because I had said, please don't. And he did. Um, but Inga helped me with that. And then I started to really get on my own paper. I was like, okay, what do I want from my life? And, I went to England alone to visit a friend and that was wonderful, but I wasn't very inspiring the way I asked. I just did it out of like spite, I would say, like just so angry that he had betrayed me that I thought, it's time for me to get what I want and I want to go here and I want to do this. And I don't really care what he wants or what he thinks anymore because he had just lost my respect in that way. And the
yeah.
OW stuff had made me really lose respect for him.
Oh, sure, of course. Yeah, devastating. You even
Yeah.
knew he was going there before he went, so
Hmm.
very stressful.
Very
Yeah.
stressful. Yeah. So I did that for a few months and then I thought, gosh, I don't know. Like I needed to save money, starting to build my own life. I think I'm going to get a divorce. Like I don't have much hope at this point. I'm going through menopause, perimenopause. Like things are just really hard. And, the next summer I decided to do some house sitting. I was like, I don't know if I want to move out, but I need some space. And so I was literally staying at other people's houses in the city I live in, watching their pets for free, just trading for space away from my own family. And I look back at this time and I'm like, what was I thinking? I just was so hurt and I couldn't think straight, but I just needed space away from him. And so I actually went to Ireland for 3 weeks to do a dog sitting thing. And I told him, I'm like, I'm coming back, but I just need some space. I need to think. I need to write. I need to figure out what I want. And at this point, he was supportive. He's like, I can't really stop you. Whatever. Okay. have fun. But he took the kids to Hawaii during this time. And I was so angry because I had wanted to go to Hawaii and he hadn't taken me all these years. And it's like, oh, now you go. Cute.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't sound like, I don't hear the like screaming fights or crying yourself to sleep. Like,
Not at
I
this
just
point.
hear
No.
at this point, there's like, it's kind of past that in a way. Like there's some resignation or
Yeah.
some,
Kind of
uh,
just,
and
gosh, I
anger.
don't want to, yeah, anger and just like, you know what? I'm tired of that channel that's always focused on what he wants. I'm just going to start doing what I want. And that was a very costly attitude. And I don't think I was off track necessarily because I'm grateful I went. Um, it gave me some clarity and it also, it led me deeper into one of the skills now. And it did give me some space. And I was looking back through some journals, Laura, and I found a journal entry. I said, I feel homeless. I said, I feel homeless even in my own body. I was so disconnected. I didn't even feel at home in myself. Like that is the level of pain and lack of self-care that I was operating with.
Wow.
So gosh, like things could have gone way worse considering what a desperate situation that was. The funny thing is when I was in Ireland, because I had this dog, this giant dog, I got to go on a lot of walks and that was the goal. I wanted to smell flowers, drink coffee and walk a dog and write and sleep. That was my goal. And I asked a lot of people when I was out walking. It seemed to be like most of the men in Ireland walk the dogs for some reason. But because I had this dog, I was very approachable and they knew I wasn't a local, because they didn't recognize me. And so I started asking them about their marriages. And I'm talking to old men who've been married 40 plus years. And they said, don't get divorced. You still have kids to raise. And I'm like, I know. I don't want to get divorced. But I don't see any other way. And he said, one of the gentlemen said, you just have to re-choose each other. This is normal. You have to re-choose each other. And so that gave me some food for thought. Wasn't the solution at the time, but it definitely caused me to pause and think, okay, well, first of all, maybe I don't need to feel ashamed that I'm going through this. Like maybe this is normal to some extent.
And so you're outside of your bubble where you're a political figure and you're well known and
Yeah.
can't say anything about your husband and you're able to share vulnerably. And then you have this angel in the form of a dog walker telling you like, this is normal or not. Yeah. Did you say, I mean, so you just have to choose each other. It's normal to have break
Yeah. I
basically.
think he just gave hope, like, like relationships people change. And especially if you've got longevity, that things are going to change and that's expected. And you have to choose love.
He's
And,
better than your marriage counselors.
oh, for sure. And he was free.
Free and he gave you hope, right? He gave you pause to
Yeah, he did.
consider, not throwing away your marriage. So, okay,
Yeah.
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 All
So I'm in
right.
Ireland and my husband's like thinking I'm there to have an affair or something because, he's like,
Yeah.
thinks I'm trying to get him
Activation.
back. And I'm like, this isn't about that. I just need some rest. I'm just exhausted. I just need to be somewhere alone. I need a break. And so, I did journal a lot. And like I said, I had some delicious food. I went on some beautiful walks, prayed a lot and came home. And with enough courage and strength to pursue things, but still like things, the OW is still in the picture and I still don't know what to do. And I'm just still frustrated and angry. And so, things kind of continue. The resignation, I would say, sets in and I'm doing the best I can. And I'm trying just to focus on my kids and my life. And then I journal a lot. And so I had seen another journal entry on April of 25. So this year said things are falling apart again. And by June of this year, I moved out of my
You
house.
moved
It was
out.
like, I moved out. I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. And,
Wow.
the breaking point was an argument over the calendar. It was so stupid. We were trying to go to dinner with the girls, go eat sushi. And my husband said something rude about how I didn't put some entry in the calendar correctly. And I just snapped. It was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I called my sister the next day. I said, I got to find a place to live. And we started looking on like the local listings. And then suddenly she had an idea like, well, maybe you could try my mom's friend who was an older man and, single man, but had a basement. And I said, that's a great idea because he's very supportive and nice guy. So I literally moved my stuff into his basement, took my two girls at this point who are at the house, at home, and it's summer break from teaching, moved in and was there about a week. And my husband came knocking on a Saturday morning in tears, so humbled and so open-hearted. The first time I'd seen him open-hearted and humbled for years and really wanting to talk to me. He's like, if you're that unhappy, I will help you get a divorce. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I don't want the money to go to the attorneys. Can we figure out a way to not ruin all the things we've built? And I said, yeah, that sounds fair. And he said, would you spend Father's Day with me and the girls? I said, sure. So that Father's Day was, like a day or two later, I believe, spent the day with him. We went out to lunch. We sat on the patio, had a nice glass of whiskey and talked, and just was finally, the defenses were down enough to say, I don't want a divorce. I want you. Like, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. I said, but this is difficult. I can't do it like this anymore. And so that was the beginning of the healing, and where I finally decided to get off the fence and not pursue a divorce. I had interviewed attorneys. I had printed out a divorce planner. I'd done this all on my own time where, he didn't have really any information about it. It was very private. But in the moving my girls to this other man's house, I was like, this is such a dangerous situation. A man wasn't dangerous, but having my girls around other people that weren't their dad, I said, this is putting them in a vulnerable position. And the dog walking I was still doing, and it was around a lot of apartment buildings because some of my clientele lived in apartments, and I'm like, there's just too many unknowns. Like, I don't know these people. I don't want to live in an apartment. I don't want to live outside of my house. I want to be home, my beautiful home. I've got to figure this out. And I didn't want a legacy of divorce to my kids, because I feel like a lot of what I'm dealing with my husband is this legacy, this leftover legacy from years of his childhood, abandonment, these issues I can't even put my finger on exactly. I did not want a divorce for my kids,
Yeah, I appreciate just hearing some of it's almost, yeah, like I just don't want to leave my beautiful home. Like just that, it almost sounds like somebody could say, oh, well, that's so shallow, but no, like this is your life. Like this is something that would have been lost. This would have been a casualty of this divorce. You would have, been in an apartment, and your kids would have been in situations that are not as safe. So I just love you bringing forth all these aspects of the divorce that were going to be very painful for everyone.
Thank you. There were a lot of things I hadn't thought about till I actually got close enough to the precipice to try on a new life. And I was like, yeah, this is not what I want. This is not what I want. I want to be home with my kids. I want my kids in their own home. I want them with their dad because he's a good dad, Yeah. And so my husband's like, let's go to Disney World. That's his solution to the problems at this point. And, I was very much a brat and was like, I don't want to travel with you and the kids. That sounds terrible. He's like, well, I'm going. If you want me to book you a ticket, you're welcome to come, or book yourself a ticket and show up. I don't care. I'm going. And so I allowed him to book me a ticket. All 4 of our kids went, and one of the girlfriends, like my son's girlfriend. So we had a bonus kid. We had a beautiful time. I just trusted him. He planned it all. He booked it all. I just showed up, and I had a wonderful time. And it was the most connecting vacation for our family. I could not see it coming. In my mind, it was going to be too hot, and I was going to be annoyed, and the kids were going to misbehave. I don't know. I just couldn't see it. And this is like when I started to just say to him, I trust you. I trust you to do what's best for our marriage. And do you know what a lie that felt like, Laura?
So, okay. And why did you say that? Like, why did you say that?
Well, at this point I had done, I'm starting the Ridiculously Happy Wives program in June. So I signed up for that and listening to the coaching. I'm getting a lot of support and a lot of ideas. And, I just didn't see any other way. Like my way wasn't working. I was like, what have I got to lose?
I'll experiment with-
Everything.
Yeah.
I've already put everything on the table. My chips are all pushed in. Maybe I'll try something really unusual. Let's just do it the way it doesn't feel natural. And that's actually what worked. And so, like I said, we had a very beautiful trip. It was very connecting. We came home. He booked us a trip to Mexico as a couple. Had a wonderful time. I came home and got so sick with COVID. And he took care of me, brought me Gatorades, just was my hero through that whole thing. Yeah.
And you have a great vacation to Disney World. You had this great vacation to Mexico as a couple. Like,
Yeah.
and the resentment and the anger, like, what happened to that?
That is a work in progress, Laura. I ask myself this question now. What do I want to create? What do I feel? What do I need or want? What do I want to create? Because that is the inspiration I have to make the behavior changes that are necessary to live, a life of love. And this is what I feel like I'm called to do. I guess there's a woman out there. There are many women out there who are in this similar situation. And I just feel compelled to share that there's hope and that, I want to be in integrity with my belief system, and my belief system's calling me to love. And I don't see any other way to be who I'm called to be.
Wow. Wow. It is amazing. And this is the guy you chose. This is the smart, well-dressed guy, that seemed so mature and, the father of your 4 babies. And, like he's still that guy. That you built a life with.
Yeah.
And,
I look forward to continuing to build a life with him. And I'm just trying to stay really focused on the things that I need to feel healthy and happy and whole, and to love him as he finds his way to feeling healthy and happy and whole, and knowing that his path is different than mine, and that's okay.
yeah. And like, you've really clarified like the difference between your path and his path. It sounds like you're very mindful of of creating the life that you want and having it look the way you want and filling it with the things that you want to have in your life.
Yeah.
How has he responded to this? I mean, this is surrender. This is incredible surrender, right? Like what?
Yeah. He's responded in kind. So one of the things I love about my husband is he's very generous. And he, when we have had arguments in the past, he said, I played by the rules. I have been here for you. I've never threatened to divorce you. I've never abandoned you. And I had to see that, like, I was the one running and pulling away for years because of this resentment and anger. And so, maybe he didn't show up the way I wanted him to, but he was there. He showed up. And so I had to accept that he was doing the best he could in that, and that he had not abandoned me. And here I have this beautiful life that he had helped create. And so, here's just a little story I want to share with you because I think it's poignant. There's this situation, and he said, he'd gone to the tire shop to replace my tire. And that evening he said, did you see that receipt, the tire shop? And I said, no. And he's like, oh, okay. I thought since it was on the counter, maybe you'd looked at it, and I didn't want you to feel unsettled or nervous. I'm like, why? What's wrong with the tire? He said, well, there's a woman's name on that receipt because there was a young woman there who couldn't afford her tires, and she had a little boy with her, and I paid for her tires. And I didn't want you to be suspicious. It's not anyone I know. It's nothing to worry about. And I don't want to tell you because it feels like it takes away the good deed, but I felt like you needed to know so you don't feel nervous. And so I thought, you know what? He's showing up heroically for someone. He's probably an answer to someone else's prayers. And I said, you better be careful. You're answering someone's prayers. God's using you in a good way.
That's so
So
sweet.
it was so sweet. And the only reason he told me was so that I didn't think something else was happening.
He's trying to take care of your feelings too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a generous man. Yeah, what a sweet man. Um,
Yeah.
all around. So, and it sounds like you're seeing that he's 51% good in a way
Yes.
maybe that you hadn't for a while. Is that right?
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I had been very clear to him how bad I thought he was, honestly. And
Yeah.
that just doubled down on the pain and made him so much. I think it made him really vulnerable to seek approval from someone else. Like, I think I opened the door for this other woman who's all light and fun and doesn't have to, share a toilet with him, so of course she's easy and sweet and attractive,
Simone, that is incredible. Like accountability. And it almost sounds like you're saying, yeah, you're saying, I opened the door to this. Like you played a
Yeah.
part. That's what you're saying.
I hate to admit it, but I did. I did. And that's what I'm trying to heal right now. I'm trying to take care of myself so that I can show up gentle and kind and patient. And the things I think I am, the things I am with everybody else in my life. Honestly, he gets the very worst of me.
Wow. But this is the real Simone, the loving,
Yeah.
kind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to take care of those resentment weeds so that the flowers can grow.
Amazing. Amazing. It's incredible. Yeah, I can't stop crying.
Thank
It's
you.
a great movie. Yeah. And so what, how, what is your marriage like right now? What's it like?
There's a level of honesty now where I'm more inclined to see that he needs confirmation that he's loved just as much as I do. And so if there's any conflict, I follow up with, I'm so glad we could talk about that. Thank you for your time and attention. And I love you. And I love you. And he recently bought us a hot tub. And I said, you take care of it. I don't care what you choose, like whatever, relinquish control of that. He did a great job. It's beautiful. Got it wired with the electrician, handled it all, paid for it all. And that's our little spot to go and have conversation and just enjoy each other's time. And we go in, sit in there in the morning before work and go and sit in there in the evening before bed. And the kids don't really bother us, so we can actually have some privacy and some connection. And so we are feeling more connected and there's more peace. And I have great hope. Like even like a conversation that recently happened where there was some hurt feelings and misunderstandings. We were able to say, like he was able to finally tell me, like, when you left, when you did those things, when you, freaked out and overreacted and left me, I was here not sure if you were coming back. Like I didn't know what you were going to do. And I can't live with you. Like I can't live like that. Like that caused so much damage. Before it came out as anger at me, and now it's coming out as honesty and that it hurt. That the pain is being discussed instead of blamed. And just, when you're in pain, you hurt back. You just put your defenses up and hurt back. So we're both trying, and it takes effort. We both are trying to keep our weapons down, and we pick them back up. I'm like, oh, that's not the tool. This just requires something different. So we have a lot of work to do, but I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
Oh yeah. And there's emotional safety. That hot tub is space for intimacy. There's intimacy at your house.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's sweet. It's sweet to hear about that. It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also, I just think it's really changed my relationships with my children. I have teenagers. I have young adults and teenagers. have a daughter who's in college. And she said, "I wish you would call me more." I said, "Honey, I'm trying to let you live your life. If you want me to call you more, I'm certainly glad to. And thank you for the invitation. But please know my intention is to just trust you on your life. You've got this." And she just cried and was like, "That's cute, Mom. Thanks." And then my other daughter, who's 15, is in a pretty serious relationship with a boy who's experienced a lot of loss and is a sweet, sweet boy. And she has the skills already. It's beautiful to see her care for this person and him care for her so tenderly at age 15 and in such a sweet and, non-sexual way, and just the kindness they have for each other. And I'd like to say, I'm sure there's a little bit of contribution for that, because she asks me, "What do I do now?" Like, okay, I'm feeling this way, or what should I say? How should I handle this? But she's starting to get independence of it and understands.
Wow. Wow. And it reminds me of somebody else I know that had a high school sweetheart, right?
Yeah.
So you can't help it.
Yeah. I take these young people's relationships seriously because there's
Yeah.
an innocence when you fall in love that young. It's a real innocence. And I don't think it's fair when people just assume that it's not meaningful. It was very meaningful. And it could be your person. Could be your
Has been
person.
for you. Has
Yeah.
been for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible. Wow. So, all right. So, it sounds like your relationship with your kids is impacted,
Mm-hmm.
by this. And I just hear a softer Simone. Like there's a softer, kinder, more loving Simone kind of
Yeah.
showing up in every aspect of your life. Am I
Yeah.
hearing that?
In fact, today I offered up an apology to my students. They were being unprepared for class. And I said, "Is there something I've done that's caused you disrespect? Because when you're not prepared for class, I feel like it's disrespectful to me. But I want to make sure I haven't done something to earn that." And they were astonished. They said, "No, no, no, you're fine, Mrs. You're fine. It's us." And I said, "Okay, well, then in that case, you need to shape up."
Wow. And so that sounds like something you might not have done pre-skills. Is that right then?
Probably not with words. I wouldn't have been able to name it and to speak it out. I would have maybe handled it similarly, but not to be that reflective and that clear and open with them about my process. Like, I want to treat with respect. I want this relationship to be built on respect. And that goes two ways. And I'm fully accountable if I've done something wrong. And I also said, like, honestly, how many adults talk to you like that? And they were like, "Nobody."
Nobody. So this is like a superpower you have now, this
Yeah.
accountability
Yeah.
and humility
Yeah.
and this kind of a gentleness that comes out of it. And
It is beautiful. It reaps rewards, and it is empowering. So that name fits really well for the feeling of when you've got mastery over yourself. And I don't have full mastery. I have moments of mastery, and showing up the way I want and being able to think about who I'm creating, what I'm creating in my life with my family, in my home, and how I want that to look and how I want that to feel. It's better than running away to Ireland. That was a step in the right direction, but a misstep. But more inspiring. And then, like, people come alongside of you, and that people support you and love you, and you give them space to be themselves. And then, they're vulnerable and honest, and you can be there for them too.
yeah, I love that. Simone, what is your tip? There's there's a woman listening. I know there is, who's in the same boat where her husband has another woman, and she's resentful and she's hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and she can't see a way forward for her marriage. It seems like divorce is inevitable, but she wants what you have now, where they have these tender conversations in the hot tub, and there's emotional safety and intimacy and connection with your whole family, and where you can see, you can see what a good man you married. And she wants what you have. What is your tip for her?
Well, first it starts with lipstick. Always get a good lipstick.
Okay.
I'm serious. You need to do silly little things that make you happy and not feel guilty. And secondly, and more importantly, um, I think it's a matter of looking at the opportunities you have to grow and to trust that these skills work. They seem too easy and also kind of like, oh, I get that. I do that. But then when you actually practice them and you realize, oh, yeah, I kind of do that, but man, there's a lot of layers here. This is more than meets the eye. I have some untangling to do. It's a life's work. It is a spiritual path. It is a life's work. And I think it's great that I can say with clarity to my own children, stay on your own paper. It will keep you busy enough. Because I can see patterns in my 9-year-old daughter with her little 9-year-old friends of this bossy little girls trying to be up on each other's papers. And I'm like, but who do you want to be? What kind of friend do you want to be? Don't worry about what they did. You know?
Wow. Wow. What a lucky little girl, right? To get that, that
Baby tiger.
yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah. Baby tiger. But
Yeah.
she's getting that thoughtfulness from her mom, right? At 9 years old. This is, it's,
Yeah.
what a gift, right? To have that spiritual journey guided for her, at such a tender age. So,
Yeah. I'm grateful.
I love that. And let me just say this too. I mean, so, and people, the counselors for sure said, you should leave him, right? And you probably had other people say you should leave him.
Oh, yes. I used the retainer money, that my sister had lent me for a divorce attorney to do the diamond program. So that is why I was able to afford that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. She was sort of supporting, like, yeah, you better get away because I mean, it's so clear cut. He has another woman. He has an OW. Like, you've got to go. Is kind of the conventional, thinking, I guess. And so, and you're bucking that. You've decided you made a different choice. I mean, does it affect you when people have that point of view? Like, how is that for you when they're telling you should go?
I'm finding it less challenging because I don't share very much with those people anymore. I feel like the community has given me a community of support and understanding, like the same value system, and not just a stated value system, and a lived value system, a practice. And so I don't need support from people who don't get it anymore. And I can live in confidence and show up for the people who don't get it and be like, there's a different way. You don't have to believe me, but this is how I choose to live. And when you're ready, I'll tell you how or tell you where.
Amazing. So they can't really shake you. They can't really shake
No.
you. Your convictions are too strong.
No, and that's what's beautiful is when you get to your integrity, which is a huge value of mine, that I can live in that in peace. Like, okay, I don't have it all perfect and I don't have all the answers now, but I know the road I'm traveling and I know who my travel buddies are. And this is where we're going.
Woo! It's like, happy dance. So exciting. It's so exciting, right?
So I want to be a coach, but I don't know when. I know that's coming.
Simone,
I'm putting that out there. It's coming.
You're one of us.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're going to.
Thank you. Thank you.
We spend the rest of our lives together on this mission.
That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. It is a beautiful mission. It is a difficult, beautiful thing.
It is worthwhile, I think.
Yeah.
Worthwhile.
Yeah.
So what would you say to Simone if you could go back in time and tell her what you know now?
Gosh, I wish I could go back to my high school self and tell her what I just told my daughter, her little boyfriend was having some car problems. I said, well, you didn't give him any advice, did you? She said, well, wait, what? I said, did he ask you for any advice? Did he ask you what to do? And she said, no. I said, well, don't say anything unless he asks. So give him the space to figure it out. He's a man. He'll figure it out. It'll be way more interesting than your way. Just give him space and be supportive. So I would have just, given my husband more respect from the get-go, because I feel like whether he deserved it or not, he would have grown into it. And we were just young. And so we didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. So we'd start with respect and space to let people be who they are.
I love it. And yeah, it sounds like it's never too late, right? You're giving him that respect now. And with the expectation that he'll grow into it, like with the faith that he'll grow into it. And it's pretty incredible. Simone, I want to congratulate you on this incredible accomplishment, this rare accomplishment of saving your family, fixing your family, and becoming the woman that, becoming the best version of yourself, becoming your best Simone. So I want to present you with my Best Wife Award.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're
That's very
welcome.
fun.
You so deserve it.
Thank you.
You're incredible. And I feel like this isn't celebrated enough. People, and what you've done is shared with us so vulnerably about what you went through, what it's cost you, and what you've sacrificed, and how you got to these wise decisions. And there's just nothing like it. So I'm so grateful that we got to hear your whole story. I'm going to have a spring in my step for at least the next few days from getting to hear.
Me too, Laura. Really, you make dreams come true, and I love that you love families and marriages. It's beautiful. Thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
It means a lot to me.
You mean a lot to our family.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. If you want all the tips, tricks, and traps about how to use a spouse-fulfilling prophecy in your situation, you can get that in my group coaching program. So for more on that, get my free Adored Wife Roadmap and the link below this video. Now, this takes some courage to do, but if you're feeling brave, you can do it tonight. So are you ready to try a spouse-fulfilling prophecy? Okay, then go, go, go. For more of the proven secrets on how to make your marriage playful and passionate without his conscious effort, check this out.